So good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Talent Finders would like to welcome the amazing, talented CEO and co-founder of CELLINK and Forbes Under 30, Erik.Gatenholm. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be part of the podcast.
Thank you. So, Erik, I'd like to congratulate you on all your achievements. And for those who don't know, could you please share with us more about your entrepreneurial journey and how it started?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So my journey started really with my first company in 2008. And that was in Blacksburg, Virginia. I started a company that was focusing on making surgical meshes for hernia repairs.
Wow.
Using a novel biomaterial. And that was really where I started really getting into biotechnologies, life sciences, and start finding a passion for creating products that can help and assist people. I believe in the ability of creating products that can really make a difference for patients. Yeah. And that's kind of that's where everything started. I managed that company for a couple of years, and then I made a small exit in 2014 and decided to do my MBA and moved to Sweden. I got into a university program there.
Amazing. So obviously you're Swedish-American or American-Swedish entrepreneur who is leveraging your passion for life science to change the future of medicine. This sounds incredible. Can you please share with us more about this, and where did your passion for this start, and how did CELLINK become the world's leading 3D bioprinting technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, from a passion perspective, I've always been interested in technologies. I've always been playing with technologies already from a very young age. My mother, she's an engineer. She's been working with computers and as an IT architect, but also a lot of mechanical engineering. She taught me everything about robotics. She taught me everything about computers even before I went to school, essentially. And my father is a professor in biomaterials and doing research in the medical field. So I think from a very young age, I was determined to go into this industry and make an impact. And I think that's what really brought me to the fact where I could start CELLINK. And CELLINK was started from the idea of where bioprinting was a relatively new industry. This was about 3-4 years ago, and we noticed that a lot of companies and a lot of researchers were moving towards this new field of this new industry, and they realized that, okay, perhaps one day we'll be able to print tissues and organs that can be used for patients. Most of the companies, actually all the companies that were coming to this industry, that were coming from hardware sides. They were all making printers.
Yes.
And when I saw that, I think, my biomaterial expertise and my biomaterial background essentially connected the dots, and we said, wait a minute, if everybody's making printers, then who's making the ink? And that's really where the idea for CELLINK came about. We said, we're going to be the first bio ink company that's going to focus on making the material for these printers so that we can print human tissues.
Wow, that's amazing. So the world of tech is developing at such a rapid rate. How do you believe in the current narrative that this is impacting the medical industry? And do you believe that doctors, as well as all other medical professionals, are adapting to the changes fast enough, or do you believe there's still resistance within the medical profession?
I think that's a great question, because, conventionally speaking, the medical industry is a very, very slow-moving one.
Yes.
As it should be. as it should be, because we're talking about safety, we're talking about patients, we're talking about human lives.
Yes.
So we should never try to implement technology that hasn't been tested.
Yeah.
And we should never try to work with things that could potentially harm the patient. But from the other side, from the other perspective, our technology already today has a very big part in research and development. So before we even develop new medical products or developing new treatments, researchers can use our technology in the field of understanding biology better, or anatomy, and how our cells are working, etc. So I think, what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to build awareness for the technology. We're trying to build a community of researchers and scientists that are working with this.
Yeah.
And we're also trying to inform and educate clinicians that, okay, today bioprinting is not used for clinical use. However, in perhaps 10 years, you will be able to utilize these types of printers and technologies to improve patient lives. Yeah. And I think that makes them really excited. That makes them very hopeful, of course, but it also makes them very excited, and they like to learn about all the things that are ahead of them.
Yes, of course. And especially with doctors as well, because I also find that doctors aren't necessarily business-minded. So the minute you start going into these newer things, sometimes you do find resistance or a lack of understanding.
Yeah. And of course, resistance it can come from a lot of different things, and most of the times it comes from either fear of interfering with their current practices, or it can come from simply the safety aspect. Is the technology safe enough to be used by the patients, and is this proven enough? So by all means, they should be somewhat resistant, and I think what we want to do is that we want to open their minds a little bit, and teach them about the technology that we have ahead of us, and see how we can work together with them.
Amazing. So that leads me to the next question. So social media has impacted and changed so many aspects of all our lives, both in a positive and negative way. Can you share with us how it has impacted you in your profession, and what do you believe can be done better?
So social media is definitely a big part of the way that we've built our business. Since we are in the early stages of our company, we're still working a lot with brand awareness, educating the community, and really building a community. So social media is essential for our growth. I am myself very active in social media. The company is extremely active in social media. And I think the way that it's impacted us most importantly right now is to find talent. I mean, to find great people that can work for us, that can work with us, and finding good partners. So I think our strongest social media channel is LinkedIn today. In just 3 years, we've been able to grow that channel essentially from 0 all the way up to more than 10,000 followers.
Wow.
So that's a pretty rapid growth for being LinkedIn. But I think that's because our material, our postings are very relevant. They're very novel, and there's a lot of innovation in what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's also very current as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So CELLINK designs state-of-the-art life science technologies to support world-renowned research institutions in over 700 labs worldwide. Can you please share with us more about this, and can you give us an example of the successes?
Yes, absolutely. So I think our success is great, and we're growing as a company. But what's most important is the success of our customers and our collaborators, because they are the ones who are changing lives, and they're the ones who are changing the entire healthcare industry. So while we are working with more than 700 laboratories in more than 50 countries today, they are doing amazing work in their laboratories, and they're truly impacting the way that we're doing science. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide them with the best and the most innovative tools and products, so that they really can innovate in their laboratories. So one of the greatest successes, of course, is research that's being done, for instance, at University of Newcastle in the UK, where Professor Che Conan has been working on printing the first functional human cornea.
Wow.
That came out about last year. So he was printing a human cornea. He's doing development work to develop human corneas that can be used for implantation further down the line once they've been tested for safety, etc. But that's a huge application, and I know a lot of people are waiting for such transplants. So I know that will be able to definitely impact the world. So it's these types of success stories that helps us as a company to really be proud and of course also be a little bit humbled with what we're doing and try to help our customers as much as possible, because again, while we're providing technologies and we're providing tools, it's our customers who are doing the magic work.
Yes. And in saying that as well, just, if it's not too much of a personal question to the company, but how accessible, because very often when there's new technologies or it's, whether it's technologies or drugs, very often it becomes, the challenge becomes how does everybody, or how does it become accessible to people, that need it in conjunction with cost? Because I think it's the same, like if people get cancer drugs, not that I'm comparing drugs to technology because they're two separate things, but in terms of cost, I mean, are these things going to be, when it, expands even bigger, is it going to be accessible to people, let's say in African countries or, more disadvantaged areas? And how it's, how's the cost impact going to impact, people? Is it only just going to be accessible to a certain level of people that can afford it?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, because one of the great things that we pride ourselves as a company and pride ourselves as individuals working here is that we are the ones who are democratizing this entire industry. We understood from day one that there are laboratories around the world who want to work with bioprinting, and they want to develop the latest implants, the latest tissues for transplantation, and the latest treatments for cancer and things like that. But for that to be possible, the technology needs to be at a fair cost, and it needs to be at a price where you can really afford it, no matter where you are around the world. So that's why we developed the most cost-effective bioprinters in the world, and that's essentially how we entered the market. We democratized and disrupted the entire industry by pulling the prices down extremely low, so that customers could get into this technology right away. And when we started our company, the printers used to cost $300,000. There were a lot of companies that were those really expensive printers. Yeah. So so there was only essentially an elite club, or elite group of people that could afford these types of systems. So what we did is that we offered our printers for $5,000 and really disrupted the field.
Gee, that's amazing, Erik. Wow.
Yeah, and that made a big impact, and people started to understand that, okay, it's perhaps not just about the printer. It's not about the hardware. It's about the material that you use. It's about the ink. Yeah. The printer is, it's a standardized technology that should be offered to everybody.
100%. No, that's amazing. CELLINK current client list is very impressive, like Harvard, Johnson & Johnson, and so many others. How did you achieve this?
Well, thank you. It wasn't easy. I'll tell you that, and it never starts, with you have to put in the work, and you have to visit customers if you want to grow a business.
Yes.
And what I would do in the last 3 years is I would essentially spend between 2 and 250 days per year traveling to customers. I would visit customers anywhere from Florida to Tokyo to Singapore, and you name it, all around the world. I spend my time really going to customers and visiting them, showing them the technology and offering it at a good price. So that's essentially how we were able to create that customer list. We found people who were innovative. We found the young and the prestigious scientists who wanted to get started with this type of technology, and then we offered it to them at a good price, and with the willingness to collaborate and to work together.
Yes, of course. And as long as, I guess everybody has to see that it's going to benefit everybody in the long run. So
yeah, exactly.
So what have been some of your biggest lessons and learnings as an entrepreneur?
That's a good question. I think, of course, there have been oh my God moments, both positive and both positive and negative. But I think mostly I have those every day, and I think that's what's important to remember if you're an entrepreneur, that you need to have those moments every day, and some days are going to be very, very tough, and some days are going to be really, really exciting. But you live for those highs. You live for those really high moments, and that takes you essentially through the challenging times. I think the biggest lessons have really been to work actively with recruiting. You when you're growing a company, you always think that you can do everything yourself, and then you realize that, oh wow, I should have started recruiting a lot earlier. And then you recruit more, and the more you recruit, the more you understand that you need more people, and then it's important that the people that you bring in, they also have that similar mindset, because really a business is all about the people. If you remove the people from a company, then there's nothing left. So they are the soul, they are the heart, they're the culture, and I think that was a big learning curve for all of us, to really get up to speed with the recruitment.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, as a 30-year-old being acknowledged globally and Forbes under 30 and many other accolades and awards, do you believe that this has opened doors in your career and for your business?
Yeah, I do tremendously. I mean, these awards and being placed on Forbes 30 under 30, those have been imperative for my development and for the entire company. If we wouldn't have received all those awards and all that recognition, I think it would have been slower for us to grow, and it would have been more challenging for us to grow. But we're extremely thankful for all the awards and all the recognition that we've received, because that essentially, it helps grow the success. Success grows success, and people like to be with successful people and with successful companies. So I think if you can continue the momentum and continue the rhythm of success and really build on that positive energy, then more people are going to want to be with you. So that will help with the recruitment. It will help with the team building, the spirit, and even the culture of the company.
Amazing. So what have some of your biggest career highlights been?
That's a great question. I think, so of course, the first sale, right? The first sale that I ever made. That was a great
feeling, right?
Oh my God, it was a great feeling. It was a really, really good feeling.
Yeah.
One of the best feelings, and that's one of those feelings that keeps you going. That was an amazing feeling. Another really good feeling or a real career highlight has been, of course, seeing the team grow. I mean, going from just being 2 people to 30 people to 100 and now even 200 people. I mean, that's seeing that in such a short time. That has been a major highlight, and most importantly, seeing the people in the organization develop and both personally and professionally improve their lives. So those have been great highlights.
Amazing. So leadership is a very big point of discussion in the current global, if you want to call it, and world of entrepreneurship. What would you say makes you different in terms of your leadership style as a CEO and co-founder?
That's a good question. So I think, that leadership is definitely something that drives the organization forward, and the people I've surrounded myself with are they tend to be natural leaders.
Yes.
I think that's important for really growing the company. Otherwise, everything stops with me. And what I do differently from my leadership style is that I try to be very, very transparent and very, very clear from the start. These are expectations. These are things that we need to achieve. We are on a mission, and we're going to change the world. Come work with us and join our team and culture, and we can succeed together. So I'm a believer in very low hierarchical structures. I'm a believer in very flat organizations. I'm a believer in doers and just do whatever it takes and whatever you have to do to get the job done. And especially no job should be too complex or too hard, or no job should be out of your title or out of your range. All the jobs that you're doing, you should be able to do them very openly, and no matter what essentially people around you ask you for, you should be able to be helpful. I mean,
yes.
That's how we've built this organization. People helping each other and really helping each other.
And actually being kind is actually not a bad thing either.
Kindness is one of our most important core values. I mean, being kind to each other and really harness that positive energy that you get from being kind to each other.
Amazing. So you have had and are achieving so much being the face and leading in your field of 3D printing in the tech space. What do you believe you do differently, and what gives you the edge over your competitors through your tech innovation in a highly competitive industry?
Well, thank you for that. I think what really differentiates us from competitors is the way that we work with technology. I mean, we've been able to attract the most brilliant minds, the most brilliant engineers and scientists and researchers, and we've been able to provide them with a very, very good culture within the company that essentially enables those individuals to grow individually, but also as professionals. So I think our culture is something that has truly set us aside from competitors. But what's been most important for us is really the persistence. We are so persistent. We work super hard. We work day and night, and we're driven by our passion and our mission and our vision of changing the world of medicine. So by having that, we can really make an impact, and we really believe in it. We really believe in what we're doing. That's we don't bring people on board if they don't believe in that same mission, that same culture. CELLINK is not a place for everybody, unfortunately. But if you happen to be very passionate about technologies, if you happen to be passionate about the things that you're doing, and you believe that you can contribute to healthcare, then come right in, give us a hand and help us.
And in saying that, just to ask the question, because I know some companies, they like only, have this like young people coming in. So do you have a diverse age group of people that work with you? Is there like an age limit to like the engineers or the scientists? Because I find sometimes people like that obviously have had years of experience, and then they end up, they get to like 60 or 65 and then get kind of forced to retire. And I think also that old school, not old school, but, that knowledge that people of that age have is also, I think, invaluable to companies. So I was just wondering if that's the same for your company.
Yeah, I mean, I think from our perspective, the average age at CELLINK is about 30.
Okay.
So we're a very young company. We have a lot of young people that work for the business. Of course, we don't discriminate against age. It just happens to be that
way.
we attract a lot of young talent.
Yes.
And and I think we like to give everybody a chance.
Yes.
And we're very fast moving. We're very rapid and agile. And that happens to be a really good environment for people that perhaps come directly out of school, come out of their engineering education, or might not even have to have an education, but just people that are fast with the way they're working. And then in addition to that, of course, we have more than 30 different nationalities working for the company. So we're a very, very diverse organization. We have many different nationalities, which essentially helps us open our minds and open our ways of seeing things, and it makes the company a very, very diverse organization.
Amazing. So that leads me to the next question. What is your ultimate vision for CELLINK?
The ultimate vision is to become a massive life science company that offers the best technologies that can enable researchers and scientists to print or to create human tissues. So my goal really is to build this company, become a very, very large player, and really offer cost-effective but value-driving platforms and technologies that can change the life for scientists and then, of course, eventually for patients. So continue to hire the brightest engineers and scientists. Continue to hire the greatest salespeople and managers, and continue to develop and innovate, because I know that's something that we're really, really good at.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So you have a team of 200 engineers, scientists, and professionals working with you. What do you believe you're doing differently to be disruptive, and through your innovation that is ultimately going to and is changing the medical industry and going to shift and change the mindset across this industry? And can you give us some examples of this that is currently working?
Yeah, sure. So I think with our team of about 200 people, what we're doing differently is that we're looking at the science and technology from the last 100 years, and we're looking at how that has helped researchers and scientists develop new treatments or develop new medical devices. Mm-hmm. And then we're trying to figure out how we can provide better tools. So, for instance, a lot of researchers are today using 2D cell culturing. It's a conventional method when it comes to growing human cells.
Yes.
But what we've realized is that 2D cell culturing is not ideal when you want to look at human cells, because human cells, they live in a 3D environment. I mean, yes. The body is three-dimensional. So if you want to grow cells, you should not grow them in 2D like on a piece of paper. You should grow them in 3D, like in a body.
Yes.
And that's really what we are all about. So we're trying to enable these scientists to go from 2D to 3D. Mm-hmm. And we're doing that by creating robots that can place these cells in a 3D environment. We're doing that by creating gels and bioinks and materials which can hold these cells in place. And we're doing that by creating microscopes and visualization technologies that can enable them to analyze these tissues. And by working with a lot of AI technologies and also with a lot of machine learning, we can start to form kind of a vision for ourselves and also for our customers in terms of where we want to be in the next 10, 50, even 100 years.
Wow, that's amazing. So that leads me to the next question. You have spoken on world stages and done a TEDx. Was this something that you wanted to do, or was this challenging for you? And can you please share with us more about what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy speaking. I really enjoy speaking for people, and I enjoy presenting myself, the company, our vision, and our culture. I think that's part of building something. So I really enjoy doing that, and I think that's something that's come naturally to me in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
The TEDx talk I had was a really nice one, because it was in the same city where I started the company. So so it was an honor to be able to speak to essentially the people who live in that city, and really be able to walk them through our vision and what we're trying to build. But I think, being out on world stages and highlighting the technology is something that's really important. If you want to become a successful entrepreneur, if you want to build something big, you're going to have to do a lot of presentations, and they're going to have to be a lot of free presentations, and you're going to have to do a lot of travels for that.
Okay.
But there is no other way around that. There's no, you can't go from zero to a TED Talk. You have to go through a lot of talks. You have to present your ideas a lot of times and keep refining them, because by the time you make it to a TED Talk, you've had to have a lot of practice.
Absolutely. So that leads me to the two final questions. So what are the 3 key pieces of advice you would like to give to other entrepreneurs, and what legacy would you like to leave?
So for other entrepreneurs, I think, that's really ties in with the question before. How do you get to the world stages? How do you get to the TEDx talks? And how do you really grow a business? Well, there is no easy way.
No.
You have to do the hard work, and you have to be ready to do that hard work. You have to be willing to travel. You have to be willing to face your fears. And this is something you have to wake up every morning with and be willing to do.
Yeah.
I think something that I've found important, and something that I've found to work is, find small good things in everything. I really don't like flying.
Really?
Not from the fact really. So not from the fact that, not from the fact that it's, it's tough to be in customs or security and things like that. I enjoy that. I enjoy being at airports. I enjoy meeting a lot of new people, but I don't like the actual flying. I'm a little bit scared of it, quite frankly. And
why is that, may I ask?
I don't know. I think there could be a lot of things to it. A lot of people tell me it has to do with control. Losing control and not being in control of the situation. I assume that's partially the reason. I'm also perhaps a bit scared of heights.
Okay.
So whatever the reason is, but I don't enjoy that much. But I try to find moments during flights that I really enjoy, and that could be, for instance, looking out the window. So just being able to sit by a window and see the nature and the world is fascinating to me. Just seeing the oceans, the lands around us, the cities that we get to travel to, that's amazing. And while the entire flight experience might not be the best, you need to try to find the small things that excite you so that you can keep going.
Yeah.
If I would have said, okay, I'm scared of flying, I'm not gonna do it, we wouldn't be anywhere. I wouldn't be anywhere in my life. So on average, I fly maybe 2 or 3 times a week at least. Could be almost as much as every other day I'm on an airplane. So you have to face your fears, and you have to be able to find small positive things in those scary things.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Erik, for your time and for sharing, and hopefully we can have you back in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm always available if if you have questions, you want to reach out. You can follow me on social media. You can add me on LinkedIn and just reach out. Just send me a message and ask any questions. I try to be as open to the community as possible, because I believe one huge thing about the entrepreneurial and the talent community is that you have to give back.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.